Welcome to Capitol Spotlight. We're on the third floor of the state capitol, Smith Hill, Providence, Rhode Island. Each and every week we visit with members of the House and Senate and talk about things they've been working on and some of the legislation that's important to them and its impact on you, the Rhode Island citizen. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome back a gentleman who's appeared with us before. And selfishly, I enjoy having him on because he's from my community of Pawtucket, Representative Ray Johnston. Representative, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me.
You know, again, I think it's interesting that we have you on today because not only are you a member of the General Assembly, but you're also in law enforcement, and we're going to talk about a couple of law enforcement issues. You have some legislation that will make it a criminal offense to get involved with forged license plates. Before you tell us specifically about the legislation, what do you mean by a forged license plate?
Those are basically the cardboard plates that you see, where somebody may go over with the magic marker and change dates to that effect to basically provide them the opportunity to use that plate for a longer duration that they're supposed to. What's happening, I guess, is especially like in the Providence area, some of these plates are being forged, altered, and they're being sold upwards of $25 a piece. And basically, right now, all it is an unregistered auto. It's a traffic violation through the traffic tribunal. This here would make it a misdemeanor, would make it a criminal offense to forge or alter these registration tags.
Is it something that you're seeing happening a great deal in our state?
Yeah, I personally haven't really seen it that often. However, the enforcement at the DMV have. They actually came up and testified. Dave Doucette and I talked to him for a while, and they're seeing more and more of it. These plates being sold and on the streets and so forth.
So essentially, what's happened? This particular plate has not been re-registered or renewed. They've simply used some sort of marking device to alter the little tab to indicate that they have a few months left, and it allows them to use that plate without having to pay for the registration.
That's correct, or they change the tag altogether and just keep the same plate on the same vehicle for months on end and so forth. And right now, if somebody in law enforcement would come across one of these plates, all it is a towed auto. It's operating an unregistered vehicle. This bill, like I said earlier, would make it a misdemeanor, would make it a criminal offense as opposed to a civil offense.
And what would you suggest would be a reasonable penalty should this legislation pass for somebody that does something like this?
Well, it's a misdemeanor, so it could be anywhere up to or under a year. It's whatever the misdemeanor penalties carry.
Another piece of legislation that you've been working on, again dealing with law enforcement, you would like to see local police agencies have the same powers as state troopers when they are assigned to statewide task force. Tell us why that's important.
That's correct. Right now, under the direction of the superintendent of the state police, he assembles these task forces that go statewide. The state police are assigned to him along with local police officers. As it stands right now, when a local police officer is assigned with the state trooper, whenever they take action, this local police officer has to be in the company of a state police officer. So this would allow that local police officer the same arrest authorities as a state trooper, as long as he's assigned to this designated task force under the supervision of the superintendent of the state police.
Well, on its face, I mean, that just seems like a logistical matter. I mean, that just seems to make very, very good sense.
Yes, it does. It makes it much simpler. Simplifies things and so forth, because these local police officers are assigned to these task forces all the time, and this makes it logistically easier to actually do the job of what they're out there designed to do.
And frankly, the taxpayer would get more bang for their buck too, because it would expand the role of these local police officers who are participating in these task force, which would be good for the citizenry. You and your colleagues in the Pawtucket Police Department are doing one fine job, and I wish you the very best with these two pieces of legislation that deal with your particular professional expertise. Representative Johnston, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, and have a good afternoon.
And most importantly, we could never do it without you, our viewers. Thank you for tuning in to Capitol Spotlight. My name is Dave Barber.